Okay, we gotta make sure they know what's going on. So we're all responsible because we all use electricity, and most power companies burn coal to make electricity, and burning coal releases carbon dioxide, and that causes climate change. Now, to be fair to NIPSCO, they are starting to use wind power. And if you want to, as a NIPSCO customer, you can sign up to get your power only from wind. They ask you to pay like $2 to $4 a month. So a little bit, but it's worth it for a healthy and sustainable future. Okay. Natural gas we burn to heat our homes and heat our water. Natural gas is cleaner than coal, but it also releases carbon dioxide, so it also still does cause climate change. So natural gas is a little bit cleaner than coal, but it's still a climate change causing greenhouse gas that it releases. So our carbon footprint is a phrase that means, and write this down because you're going to need it, this is going to go into your journal. Our carbon footprint refers to how much carbon dioxide we are each personally responsible for releasing into the atmosphere. And your last journal entry today, you can think about it now if you want to, is just to write down one thing you could do to reduce your carbon footprint. So how much CO2 we each produce for our daily activities, that is our carbon footprint. I have one, Isaiah has one, Julian has one, we all have a carbon footprint. The average American puts 20 tons of CO2 into the atmosphere every year. Part of it comes from driving, so if you walk to campus, you have a smaller carbon footprint than I do because I drive. And you guys are better than me in terms of your carbon footprint. But it also has to do with the stuff that we buy. So reducing how much stuff we buy, or buying stuff that's made here in the United States, can also help to reduce our carbon footprint. So the main thing from here is just this phrase and its definition. Maybe this, if you want to have an extra statistic on hand to talk about on your final oral exam. The average carbon footprint of Americans is about 20 tons per year. So just be aware of what that means. Why should we care? This is where we need to talk about the impacts of climate change. What is it doing to us? The planet is getting warmer, we know that. But ultimately what it's doing is it's changing our weather. And I just want to run through about 5 or 6 of those impacts for you before we wrap up. Drought. Drought is prolonged periods without rainfall. Droughts are occurring more frequently and for longer periods of time in the west and southwest in this country. That is why we have so many wildfires in California and other western states. It is also happening in Africa and other places in the world. That is why there are conflicts in those places over water, and why people are leaving, why people aren't able to grow food. And there is starvation in many places in the world because of drought. I think we're going to start seeing climate refugees in this country. Climate refugee is a person who has to leave their home because of climate change, a climate change causing weather disaster. I found out last weekend my younger brother is a climate refugee. He had a job for 7 years in Durango, Colorado, cutting down trees and shoveling snow. He worked, among other things, for a ski resort that had 6 runs. Last winter, Durango only got 2 feet of snow. The ski resort could only open 1/2 of 1 run. They're converting that ski resort into a mountain bike resort. They're not even going to try to have skiing anymore. This is partly because of climate change. We're having warmer winters and less precipitation in Colorado, so he is out of a job. He came back to the Midwest. I speculate, and this is just my personal speculation, that we're going to see more and more of this, especially to this region because we are sitting on the world's largest supply of fresh water in the Great Lakes. People are going to come here for access to that water. Companies are going to want to get their hands on it. Some ways they already are. People are going to want to get their hands on it, and we might have conflicts. Kyle, question?
Do you think that's often in California with all the wildfires? Do you think that that's often a thing that they just move away?
And that's part of what's behind what happened with my brother. He also had a job cutting down trees, and the forests are burning. They're dying, so it's just not needed anymore. I'm guessing that people will eventually decide these places are unlivable and just move away. The real property values are already going down, especially in coastal areas now that are frequently flooding. People just can't live there anymore. But more floods and more violent storms are another likely impact of climate change worldwide. Right here in Northwest Indiana, we had a record-setting or unprecedented flood in 2008. This is what the city of Munster and the town of Munster looked like in that year. It was in October. Hurricanes are getting more frequent and more powerful. We know that. We've seen it on the news. Violent storms like thunderstorms and tornadoes are also becoming more powerful. We've always had tornadoes. We've always had thunderstorms. But now the wind speeds are increasing. The storms are becoming more powerful, very likely because of climate change. So we're seeing those things happening now. Glaciers are retreating. This doesn't affect us directly, but it does affect people whose water supply depends on ice sheets. This is a photograph from a glacier national park here in the United States from the 1930s on the left. On the right is that same national park in the late 1990s, 1900s. Within 1 century, that glacier disappeared, gone. So glaciers are retreating worldwide. Ultimately, climate change is impacting agriculture. This is already happening in some places. If the rain doesn't come at the right time, if there's a prolonged drought and there's not enough water to irrigate, if pests come in, bugs that eat crops are coming in, and our winters aren't cold enough to kill them off, then our agriculture ultimately is going to be impacted. By one estimate from the National Academy of Sciences, if emissions, that means carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere, continue unabated, if we don't do anything about this, U.S. crop yields could drop by 63 to 82% by the end of the century. So we're losing our agriculture, and this is going to affect our food supply. In some places in the world, it already is. So the last couple of points are, climate change obviously is causing more heat waves. These are becoming life-threatening. Climate change is also, then by one estimate, this is from the Union of Concerned Scientists, a very good organization on this issue. By the end of this century, it's going to feel like Texas in Northwest Indiana. So Northwest Indiana is going to feel like Texas by the end of the century. God only knows what Texas is going to feel like. The ninth circle of hell, perhaps.
I was in Texas over the summer. And
hot?
Yeah, the first day we got there, it was like a Thursday. It was 99 degrees, and that was the coldest that it was the whole time. And it ended up getting like 117.
I could stand it.
It's different too, though.
It's dry. Yeah, so it does feel.
I've done this.
All right, and we can kiss winter fun goodbye because we'll have winters like in Arkansas. So some people might think, great, I won't have to shovel snow, but we have to look at the environmental impacts as well. Ice cover on Lake Michigan protects the eggs of the fish that lay their eggs there. So if the ice is gone, if there's no ice on Lake Michigan, we won't have the same fish populations that we have now. So all of these things have multiple impacts. All right, let's talk about carbon footprint. Here's what your assignment is going to be. Again, carbon footprint is the amount of carbon dioxide we each put into the atmosphere. So we are responsible for causing climate change. What you're going to do is calculate the carbon footprint estimated of one of your items that you found during the trip to Walmart. So pick one. Let's try to arrange it so that everybody picks something from a different country. So you're going to get back together with the people you went around with. Get with your group. Or get with your pair. So Christina and Chris, we're together. Stay together. You're going to do this in your groups. So each group is going to pick one of the items. If you need a photo, I can probably pull some of them up. Look up the miles. Figure out where it was made. Look up the miles from the place it was made to Chicago. Calculate, using this assumption, the amount of CO2 in pounds that it put into the atmosphere by bringing it here. So if something was made in Japan, in Asia, it had to be shipped all the way here. How many pounds, probably thousands, did that put into the atmosphere? So this is just a rough estimate. Items get here on ships and trains and trucks. We don't know exactly how much fuel they burn, so we're using an EPA estimate based on passenger vehicles. So what you're going to do, you're going to put that in your journal, then you're going to come up here and report it to the class and point out on a map, you're going to draw a line on a map from the place where that item was made to Chicago, just to have a visual illustration of the trips our items take around the world when we buy them. So get started. This is your last assignment of the class. I'm going to take these instructions down in a minute. So figure them out and let me know if you have questions.
Okay. Do you want to do the beauty burner? This is for y'all. Okay, so
The picture of it, more than
we need to look at different.
my titty.
So Justin, if you want to, jump in with those two guys on their
From
project.
the place was made from Chicago.
Anybody else who missed
And
it?
then estimate those.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking. Now you can whip out your phones. Not a problem.
So so basically we're just doing like a carbon footprint thing. Say from Chicago to say from Korea to China. How many
Tomorrow you're going on the shopping trip, right?
to here?
So get with another group.
If she had it, let me give you an item. You have it on your phone too.
You said from Chicago to
If you ask me nicely, I would show you the options, but I don't get that here. You need to be polite. There you go. Is that so difficult?
Yeah. I'm using that.
So what countries do we have? Let's try to get different countries. I know I heard Singapore.
I have USA.
Daniela, you put your hand up. What are you going to say? Germany. You got Germany.
We have Thailand.
Okay, we got a Thailand. Pakistan, awesome. Egypt.
I have the USA.
And we got the USA. That is awesome. Anybody
China.
else?
Yeah, how about
Japan. Okay, you guys got
Korea.
You guys got dibs on
Vietnam.
Japan? Vietnam. You got dibs on Vietnam.
oh, you got China.
Anybody got one? Switzerland? Okay.
Korea.
Korea? Who has Korea? Are you gonna do Korea instead? You only have to do one. One per group. One per group. So either one is fine. What are you guys doing?
We're doing Egypt.
Egypt, okay.
Wait, one per group?
Yeah, you only have to do one item. And I just want to have a bunch of different countries.
We'll do the Korea one. You want me to-
Korea? Okay.
Oh, enough with the extra credit. She ain't gonna give you extra credit for everything.
She told me she's gonna give me extra credit for having a bra.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
didn't get your photo.
You sent him the extra.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I didn't know she wanted them on Friday. I just thought she just wanted them general.
So you're just choosing one item. Are you guys are ready?
Great.
She didn't specifically
It's been
say.
great.
Yeah, perfect. You got it.
$40.
You're gonna come up to the podium.
Yeah.
You're gonna say what your item
She
is,
just said send them to me.
where it's from, and then you're gonna find it on the map and draw a line to Chicago from that place and tell us the carbon footprint. Does that make sense? Yes. Zach, you wanna go first? Yeah. All right, let's go.
Biggest problem.
Zach, who are you with?
I'm in nowhere, I said.
Just Noah?
And Isaiah.
And Isaiah, okay, Zach and Isaiah. What'd you guys find?
We got a sweater from Walmart. And it was from Egypt.
Egypt.
So the total mileage from Egypt to Indiana/Chicago is 6,136 miles. So,
And what was the carbon footprint?
5,522.4 pounds.
So about 5,000 pounds of carbon dioxide was put into the atmosphere just to get that sweater here. So put your chalk on Egypt and draw a line from Egypt to Chicago. It's going to show the path that that sweater might have taken. Boats, trains, trucks, whatever. Awesome. You got it. That's it. Okay. Thank you. Okay, who's next? Different country. You want to do yours? This is our shopping trip. Our shopping trip is going to appear on the board. A bunch of lines all over the world.
Danielle's going. Where's right there?
Yeah. Okay.
What do you want me to do? Do a little.
You ready?
Sure, I'll explain.
Yeah, so Google. Okay, Ricardo, what was your project? Where was it from? And what was its carbon footprint?
Our product was like charcoal mask. It was from Korea. And we did like a little laminate goes over it.
Now, what path do you think, this is just a little challenge question, what path do you think the object most likely took with the shipping? How was it
Through the
shipped?
Pacific Ocean.
It would probably, at first, it would probably start from here and it has to be landed somewhere over here just to be shipped out from the sea or etc.
That is one possible hypothesis. Does anybody have another idea? Isaiah, were you with Ricardo? No, you weren't. What do you guys think it is?
I think it started in Korea and went over California.
Does anybody else have a project started from Asia? Now that, let me explain, that is very unlikely. You can sit down, Ricardo. Planes burn a lot of gas just to travel 1 mile. Most products are not shipped on planes, those are for passengers. What are they shipped on to come across the ocean?
Boats.
Big ships, right?
Yeah.
So your ship is probably going to go east from Asia and come into California. That's one way to do it.
I know that. I don't know.
Okay, good.
I don't know that.
So Ricardo, who else is in your group? Daniela and Kay.
And
The product was from Korea. What was it
You want me
again?
to go?
a charcoal mask.
Okay, what?
This is
It's like one of those things, you really need that? Right? Nah. And how many thousands of pounds of carbon did it put?
How much was it?
Come and get back to me.
Okay, what?
Okay, who's next?
Kyle.
Kyle and Keaton and Jalen, you guys are together.
And Julia.
Julia
You
too.
always forget about me.
Why do we forget about my boy? Take care of mom. All right. The item that I've chosen is a t-shirt bra that was made in Bentonville, Arizona. It is approximately 631 miles from the Chicago Whiting area. And it put approximately 567.9 pounds into the atmosphere. If you guys want me to try this off?
Yeah, let's see it.
Just take a good guess, Chicago. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
So you guys should just.
Yeah, baby.
I think that's Texas.
Yeah, baby.
Texas is a little bit lower.
The whole class again, because other people might have a question. You got it, good. So that was made in Arizona?
Yes.
What's the company? That's interesting, though. I want to buy a bra made in the United States. Come on.
I'll go buy it.
Here, so let me just go over this again. To find your carbon footprint, you gotta find the distance. So you can just Google, you can do that now. How far is it from, how many miles from Vietnam to Chicago? And then you multiply that distance by 0.9, because according to the EPA, a passenger vehicle emits approximately 0.9 pounds of CO2 per mile. So we're just using this as an estimate. If you want to go deeper into it and find out how much carbon dioxide a cargo ship produces, that would be great. But today we're just kind of getting an estimate. Okay.
The secret treasure branch.
Okay.
Our
Ricardo?
Our estimate is like